Welcome to the Facerocker podcast, number 68. 68. We're close. Very much. Anyway, don't worry. This time it's not just Des and myself. We're joined this week by Matt and Asham, one of our producers. He did the Every 90s commercial short that just went out on youtube.com/RocketJump. We talk about producing. We talk about guilds. It's just a film stuff. So we're sort of film-heavy podcast.
Yeah, very film-heavy, production-oriented podcast.
Movie nerds, want to be film nerds, you might have a good time with this one. And, of course, our signature blend of humor and wry world observations.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Anyway.
I think you're giving us a little too much credit, but I'll take it.
Whatever. Check it out. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another Facerocker podcast, joined today by Matt.
Hi,
Des, and also producer of our whole last year of stuff, Asham.
What's going on, guys?
Producer extraordinaire. Give him a little more credit.
And by the way,
That
this
might
year's
be
only
much.
been 1 month, so don't
You know,
pat
but we're
yourself
also
too
not
hard.
into
It's been a busy month.
putting labels on people, so what else do you do?
I'm not really sure.
Okay, all right.
A lot.
So just producer.
Yesterday we had a lot of work, but I think everyone put in their time moving balls around.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yep.
it's just a little bit.
Do we want to give it away? I mean, do we even put pictures up? Do we don't
We
want to
have
give it
pictures
away?
all over. We have pictures all over.
So everybody
Yes.
knows that we have them?
They don't know what we're doing with them, though.
Oh,
So
okay.
here's a little story. We've had a video idea for a thing that involved like ball pit balls, but we needed a lot of them. And it was one of those ideas that you have, and you're like, well, this video will never happen.
Well,
We're
the first
never-
thing you do is how much would that cost?
And we looked at it, and it's a lot. It's like a car. It costs what a new car would cost. So we're like, okay, well, this is not a video that's ever going to happen. So we'll just, put it on the back burner. Isn't that funny? We'll bring it up every so often.
Unless somebody paid for it.
Also, to
Which
frame
nobody
this a
would.
little bit, we're not talking about the equivalent of a ball pit's worth of balls.
We needed.
We're talking about a semi-truck loads worth
Right,
of
exactly.
balls.
An
Yeah.
office filling amount. So that was it. And then buddy Roman Atwood posted this prank video where he filled up his house with balls. And it was a cool, fun prank video. I think a lot of people saw it, made the rounds, on the sites and the internets and everything. And so I messaged him. I was like, because I knew how hard it is to get these balls because we had looked into this for this video.
Mm-hmm.
I messaged him. I was like, hey, just quick question out of the blue. What are you doing with those? And we sort of went back and forth, and he basically was like, hey, here you go. We paid for the ship. We paid for the shipping of it, which was
Still a lot.
Still a lot more than anything has ever cost to ship. I think ever.
Like a bad used car.
A bad used car amount
So
of
we went
shipping
from a new car
to a bad,
used
car.
car.
But then also that new car or that bad used car was full of 200,000 balls.
Which God.
200,000 is a lot, but I don't think that number accurately.
It sounds like very little, actually. When I heard that,
When
I
you
was
hear
like, that doesn't seem like
200,000,
a
you're
lot.
like, yeah, but the balls are kind of small. That's not much, right?
When you saw what we carried yesterday.
No, you have no idea
It was
how
a
many
full
ball pit
semi-truck.
balls. A
Yeah.
full semi-truck.
And not like, by the way, not a standard
truck.
semi-truck. It looked like a longer semi-truck.
Yeah, it was huge.
Huge.
A massive amount of balls.
It took us
know-
about 40 minutes
how
with
did
like 12 people moving all the
The
bags.
whole office now is full
We
of
were
ball
shut down.
pit
We were
bags
shut
of
down
balls.
for a couple hours.
I don't know how that
looking
semi-truck
around.
even got himself parked in that. It was so long. I was on set yesterday doing with Sam and Nico shooting Snapper Hero, which I'll talk about in a second. But man, like, it was ridiculous. And these are these bags. Like, they came in bags, and the bags were like about the size of like us four sitting around here.
They're like 6 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. They're
It was like
Giant.
all of us sitting around.
Massive.
yeah.
Here, lean in a little bit, Asham. There you go. Yeah, so it was ridiculous. And now, by the way, so we have this like common area space in this building that we're in, and we're like, okay, hey, real quick. So just to let you guys know, everyone else in the building, this common area is going to be filled with bags of balls. And I was like, okay, we'll spill over a little bit. No, we filled up our entire storage space. It's nuts. It's everywhere.
It's like a ticking clock. We have to do this video before our fellow, office
before someone
neighbors
gets pissed at us.
are so pissed at us that we can't be here anymore. So we got to find a way to shoot it. It's interesting because it's a video we always wanted to do, but it's not a traditional Freddie W. RocketJump style video. It's actually more like a This Week at RocketJump video, but way more expensive or time consuming than we usually spend on This Week at RocketJump.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be the first This Week at RocketJump video that we put on the main channel and hopefully push people over to
I do want to figure out, by the way,
the second channel to actually watch it.
I do want to just real quick figure out the way to do the wall that you talked about as an effect. You remember what? You remember
You know,
that?
it doesn't affect. You just make. You get
No, that's what I'm saying. Anyway.
do a big curtain and put all the balls up.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so
It's a
that's-
weird video.
It's a weird video. It'll be a lot of fun, and we
It's like
actually
an
have
epic.
it. So thank you, Roman, and
Yeah,
we
thanks, man.
really do appreciate you hooking us up with this, and that these balls will have a second life now on yet another video on the internet. Maybe this could be a thing. Maybe this thing is everyone just keeps
pass
passing
around
around
the balls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
I
like
thought it was
sourdough, right?
insane. It was insane how fast people made that connection too. As soon as like a couple of the pictures went up, everyone was commenting.
Oh,
on it,
really?
saying,
Oh, they're saying it's
making
from
that
him?
Oh yeah, right away. It was pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
There's not
fascinating.
too many people sitting
Yeah,
around
right.
with not too many people who don't own a family fun center looking for 200,000.
So I guess
But
they
if you
got-
are, let us know because
Yes.
we're gonna be selling 200,000 balls soon, very soon.
We'll have something to do with those anyway. So yeah, so yesterday, luckily I timed my my Snapper Hero thing perfectly because I didn't have to
Yeah,
help
you didn't
move
help out.
anything.
How'd that go?
That was good. So, for those who don't know, Sam and Nico, Corridor Digital, are working on. I think is it the first like official Snapchat series?
I don't know.
That's how it's being pitched. Yeah.
So Snapchat's doing, for those of you who use Snapchat, which is probably everybody except anyone who's over the age of 20, 21, or
So all of us.
everyone,
Yeah.
yeah. So
What is it? What are we talking about?
they have a feature now which are you can watch video on it. There's like little stories. They've had stories for a while. You can watch video. They're kind of doing some series on it. So now Snapper Hero is a series that Sam Nico directing. Which, by the way, the press releases didn't really cover too much. It actually covered my appearance in it more than.
Yeah, guys, it's Sam and Nico.
It's
I
Sam
saw
and
it too.
Nico.
I didn't see Corridor Digital in one press release.
Yeah, I don't. How the heck did that happen? Were you eclipsed Sam and Nico's?
That's not. It's totally not
Rad new
fair because
series.
they're.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, it's pretty esoteric discussion. We don't need to get into it. Let's just say that we've learned to realize that most PR firms dealing with the internet are
horrible.
terrible.
Oh, you
And maybe this
missed
is going to
this.
stop us from
Oh,
getting
hold
a
on.
PR firm.
You
but
missed this
you're all
actually.
terrible.
Yesterday, last week, Des and I basically just sat and ranted about PR
Yeah.
Yeah.
nonstop. Anyway, so they
I'm
are.
sorry I missed it. I mean, I know exactly what you guys would have been saying, but
Yeah.
I would have
throwing
partook.
your 2 cents in.
Yeah, I would have had more than 2 cents. That would have been a whole dollar's worth.
10 cents. The first two is free.
Yeah.
It was fun, and it was interesting because it's it's a series on Snapchat, and it's like you watch it on Snapchat, and like a lot of things, like everything on Snapchat, it exists for 24 hours and then it disappears.
Yeah.
And what was funny about that is I was thinking about that. I was like, well, what's interesting is because it kind of, not quite, but kind of starts to touch on like the fun of live shows, the sort of temporariness of like a festival or a live performance. And it's like, oh, this is only going to happen once, and
Yeah.
and it doesn't last.
It
and
creates
whereas-
a little event.
and like nowadays, and what I realized is that's kind of what's missing when people talk about like eventizing things. You got to make an event out of your video release. It's like, no, it's not an event if it lives forever on the internet.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
really much of an event, but it is an event if it does now.
Well, that's what we were
disappear.
getting when the Star Wars trailer came out. Everybody's like, praised, like, ooh, it's so cool that they're putting it in 100 theaters by itself. Like, it's such an event. It's like, it's not though. It's gonna get pirated the second it happens. It's gonna be up
It'll be
online,
on
and it's
YouTube
gonna
forever.
be
Yeah.
up on YouTube in 2 days. Like,
So it's not.
it's really just silly.
I
Like,
don't think
yeah.
it was 12 hours. I think it was
Yeah.
like the next morning. It was,
Well, they gave up on it. They just
Yeah.
decided to put it online. They're like, whatever, we should
Yeah,
put it
whatever.
online. This is a
Right.
dumb idea in the
Yeah.
first place. So, like, I get the idea behind it, but it just doesn't work. It wouldn't work as they wanted to do it.
Right.
The only way to do it would be to literally do. I mean, that's why they do. Like, I'm assuming that's kind of the reason behind like secret, like concerts and things like that. Like that same idea of
Well,
this is the only
it's
way
the-
you're going to see it. It's a surprise. It's a live event. It's
Well,
never
and
gonna be
they've always
replicated.
said that the only way you can stop piracy is if you can control the individual photons coming out of the end medium. Is really what it is. Because at some point, someone can always just take a camera and record a screen.
That's what they always say.
Right.
That's what they all say.
Pretty
You know,
much.
it's-
They're always talking about those damn photons.
the photons on a thing. It's well known.
Oh, those nerds.
saying.
Biggest
I like
stress
that
of my
saying.
life are the
Gotta
photons.
control those photons on the end
On the end
monicum
user.
of media consumption.
I took a class in film school about photons. That was
That
a
was all.
difficult one.
Yep. One of the very
Photon
famous
101.
sayings. One of the famous sayings. Words to live by. Words to live by.
Gotta control your photons.
What
boys
was that
and
again? I
girls.
won't put that on a shirt. What was that exactly? It was-
The only way you can stop piracy is to control the individual photons on the end user screen.
all right.
That's right.
It's a long
Yeah,
t-shirt.
okay.
That's some like
front and back right there.
yeah, that's some Big Brother
Tell
level.
Jamie, we want to get another non-hit shirt printed up for the merch store.
Yeah, I think
Hey,
like
we got another product that nobody wants. Let's
Yeah, well-
sell it.
was on that. I want to go back on that podcast when we did the Chillsboro. What was the breakdown of who thought it was gonna be a good idea and who thought it was gonna be a bad idea?
We'd have to go back.
I want to go back because I think we sold like 16.
I think there was a little bit of groupthink happening
Well,
there. where
let's back up for
someone
a
said,
second.
"I think it's a good idea," and everyone else chimed in and goes, "Yeah."
Well, but let's back up for a second. that shirt is an exclusive shirt because you can't all be the chillest bro people
Well,
know.
you know what,
that
you're
doesn't
right.
make sense. If a whole school of kids had chillest bro shirts, that wouldn't make any sense because then they would be more chill than the other
I
chillest
suppose
person.
you should commend the audience for being honest.
I
and
commend
not
the-
just
true.
buying
I
up
commend-
chillest bro shirts because they know where
I personally commend the free market for basically deciding the correct distribution. Of
No,
that
I
shirt.
want you guys to buy the shirts. I want as many shirts
Well, you know
sold
what it
as
is. You
possible.
could have solved that. That's the problem. We put an ultimatum in the language of that shirt. What it should have said is one of the chillest
one of the
bros.
chillest
That would
bros
open
we
it
know.
up to a lot more
See, because
people.
then you don't feel guilty for getting it if you're
Yeah.
not the chillest bro. Because you look at that shirt and you're like, I know someone chiller than me.
I think it's
they
actually just
deserve
that
that shirt.
nobody wants to be a chillest bro. Like, bro's like the worst thing
sure
you could
though?
be right now.
Yeah, you don't want to be a bro.
Yeah.
Bros are looked down upon.
Like, we
now.
might as well just written a shirt that said "I'm an asshole" and sold that. In fact, that probably would have sold more.
The biggest asshole you know is really what it is.
I bet you the
That
biggest
might have-
asshole you know would have sold more.
I'd wear one of those.
At least it's honest.
Wait, no, back up for a second. Wasn't the chillest bro shirt? Wasn't that a Logan idea?
I believe so.
It was definitely on. Yeah, because Logan.
That was
Logan
Logan's-
doesn't care if we spend money on a
that
shirt
was
and doesn't
Logan's
sell it.
topic for that podcast. It's like, hey guys,
Who is the
I want you to
chillest
discuss
bro
who the
you
chillest
know?
bro you know is. Yeah, and then it
Sounds like
became
a-
a shirt and
So incidentally, again, having lived with Logan for a few years, never, ever, this is a lesson for all of us, never listen to his product ideas.
Yeah.
He has the weirdest and dumbest ideas I've ever heard for product, which is hilarious. But anyway,
Sounds like he can sell the pitch though.
but he can sell it.
Yeah,
and
I
he'll
mean,
he
He'll
can
pitch
sell
it.
it. He gets really excited.
Like, I
I made a
remember-
lot of bad business decisions because of Logan.
Like, I remember one of my favorite ones was we were on a road trip. Logan and I were on a road trip right after college, and we basically did 30 days on the road. We basically hated each other by the end of it, but it was okay. But there's no way you can't. We listened to like every episode of Loveline. But he had a pitch during that road trip, and he called it the Mystery Box. And what the Mystery Box was a traveling circus attraction. What it is, it sets up in like a Best Buy parking lot. And it's a giant.
We're all great
Already
things
sounds
happening.
awful.
black, slightly mirrored cube that just sits in the parking lot. You go in, and no fan. But this is his idea. No fanfare, no press, nothing. It just shows up, and you go and you pay admission. You go into it, and he says, "Okay." And then what happens is you go into it, and it's this perfectly recreated rainforest environment full of sounds. Birds twittering, sound of
big is this
running
box?
water. It's big box. It's
Pretty big.
You walk
Big
in.
enough to fit a small rainforest.
A small
in it,
rainforest in
but
it.
not too big where you can't fit it into a Best Buy parking
When
lot.
you stop describing things as a box, if you can fit a rainforest.
It's a very large to medium sized.
It's a large pop-up attraction. So you walk into the mystery box, you hear you hear everything going, and then again, it's not clear how this works, but about 5 minutes into the mystery box experience, you get to the center of the box, and then you're held there by some means, either narration or what have you, and you're standing there, and this is his vision.
Okay,
This is
yeah.
his grand vision. The idea was then you would look around and you realize that you weren't alone in this box, and then you were surrounded.
How big is this box? One, I don't buy that anybody would be in there for 5 minutes.
Well, you'd be like
And two,
exploring.
It takes 5 minutes to get to the center.
No.
of
You'd
this
be,
box.
it'd be a circuitous route. You get there, and then again, it's all about the effect. It's all about the effect of this, which is you look, and then you look around, and you realize you're surrounded by midgets, all who are painted.
I don't know if that's the proper nomenclature.
The most Logan idea.
who are painted,
Yeah.
Definitely
camouflaged.
Impossible, nonsensical,
And so what you would see,
offensive.
So what you see is eyes. Just their eyes blinking at you. And then the moment you realize that, they hit a trap door and you fall right into the gift shop in which there'll be shirts and things to
fall
purchase.
into the gift
Yeah,
shop.
you slide into it via slide. And then the best part about it is everything about it is before you got into it, you'd have to sign a waiver that said you can't talk about Mystery Box. No, you are not allowed to talk about Mystery Box.
So
And
wait,
then-
wait. So there's a person.
So it's like
At the
Fight
very,
Club.
yeah, to collect.
So this
collect
is,
your
I mean,
admission.
I wish Logan was here so I could just shit all over his idea. Because this is terrible from the beginning. Because like part of the appeal would have been like, oh, it's a mystery box, you don't know what's going on. But the moment you have a guy who's like, hey, here's a flyer.
Well, no, this ties
only
into
one
the
person
ending.
in that time.
This ties
Go
into-
inside. It just ruins the
And then
whole.
a guy walking out of a portal 15 feet away wearing mystery box midget merch tees.
This also requires you to set up an underground gift store into the Best Buy parking lot as well.
Well, this ties into the
elevated is
ending
this
of it.
box?
This ties into his ending
Okay,
of it,
okay,
which
okay.
is then as you go out with your shirts or what have you, a nice sort of Midwestern couple approaches you in the parking lot and says, "Hey, what is this? We just saw this here. What is that?" And then the moment you start to say something, they get right up your face like, "You said you wouldn't talk about mystery box." And then that would be it. That'd be the whole thing. It'd be a way of ensuring it.
I want to hear the minutia behind, feeding and housing all these midget carnies. Like
Again, it's a traveling
put
show.
all these guys? Yeah,
You take breaks. This union
I
breaks.
suppose he chose Best Buys because they're usually situated right next to a Motel 6 or
some manner of cheap housing or something. So anyway, don't listen to Logan's ideas.
Best Buy guy coming out. There's a 8-story tall, 200-yard glowing cube.
Black box. No, black box.
Black box.
Yep, that's it.
All right.
With no fancy.
Sure. That's an idea.
All right.
Although I will be honest, I would love to live in the world where that could work.
Right.
I also want to know what's in that gift shop. Just like a bunch of shirts that say "Don't talk about a mystery box."
No, it's just shirts. I experienced mystery
Mystery
box.
box.
Like a little
experienced
snow
something.
globe. It's like a snow globe with a black
You
cube.
can take
in it.
home a midget, maybe.
No,
See,
that's
sure.
offensive.
The
That's
chillest,
owning a human being.
bro
Des.
you know is essentially that, and then we made it. Like, it's just as dumb an idea, and we made it.
I guess that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Well, we
He
sold
wins.
16
Logan
shirts.
wins.
Logan always wins.
Yeah.
We
sold
sold
Maybe
16
that's how he
shirts.
finds joy, is just giving people ideas.
I think it
Yeah.
and
does.
seeing who actually goes for it.
But Lauren has one, so like that's one.
We sold one.
It doesn't count. No, the ones
Doesn't
that we
count
have don't
we buy
count.
it.
No.
So you might have done
How many
4.
were made?
It was
Not
a
many.
print on demand.
Print on demand.
We had the foresight to realize
Probably
that
not that
least
many.
that.
purchasing 1,000 shirts.
No, we didn't have the foresight. Jamie, our CFO, who's responsible for our money, we come in. Hey, Jamie, you gotta make a new shirt. Just like do 2,000 orders. Like whatever. I don't care how much that
Order as
costs.
many as possible.
He's like, we're gonna do print on demand, and we're not gonna spend a single dime unless somebody buys it. So thank you, Jamie,
Fair.
for
keeping us
in
afloat.
line.
Our captain. No, captain,
Yeah.
my captain.
Hey, you know what we should talk about?
What's that?
Well, we were talking about.
Asham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have a
People-
guest.
Can we wrap up Snapper Hero before we get to our guest?
Anyway,
Is it
Snapper
more
Hero.
time?
It's,
I have a
it's-
question about that. How long are the episodes?
so each
Where do you
episode,
find it?
You
How
find
do
it
you
on
see this?
Snapchat. You go follow Snapper Hero, and then you click and hold with your thumb, and then the episodes will play out. They are a variety of lengths, but it's like a collection of. It ends up being, I think, a few minutes, but it's all a collection of Snapchat style stills and 10-second snippets.
Give me
and
the
stuff like that.
pitch. Like, what's the creative pitch for this series?
So the idea
The
is
log
it's a
line.
group of kids get superpowers from their phones, and it's all kind of related to sort of Snapchatty sort of things. So they all use those and
Wait. Their powers are related.
no. I'm saying like I can't. One, I don't want to give away too much. Also,
Okay.
contractually, I can't talk too much more about this
Oh.
than what's been
Oh.
revealed because obviously
Are
they
we
wanna
already in
make this
trouble?
a
Should we
thing.
just bleep out everything?
No, it's superhero powers
All right.
in the phones.
And
How
how many
many episodes?
episodes?
Find out.
How many
That's it.
episodes?
I actually don't know.
Just like an ongoing series right now.
It's gonna. I actually don't know the specifics of that, but it's gonna be.
There should be
playing out.
one guy who is the Snapchat hero that everybody forgets everything about him after 24 hours. So he's constantly having to reintroduce himself, and people only know he exists for 24
Is
hours.
this up now? You
they
guys
get-
are shooting
No, it's
now.
not-
So
it's
when
not.
is this ready?
I don't know yet. I don't know if the release date has been
All right.
set. Maybe
be
it
for
probably
a while.
has been set, but I'm not sure. They're
So
working
just
on it
constantly
right now.
refresh your Snap windows.
No, they have stuff that they're putting up on the Snapper Hero Snapchat page, and also our Snapchat page, by the way, which is Rocket_Jump. We always are a little bit late.
Yeah.
Like we just got the Instagram to just be RocketJump now. It was RocketJump IG, which looks like Rocket Jump
Jumping.
Pig, which is like
Which is what definitely I thought it was at first.
Yeah, misspelled rocket jumping.
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so that's Rocket_Jump. Follow us on Snapchat.
Who's got the Rocket Jump Snapchat? Where are they at? Are you out there? Are you listening?
Probably not.
Who's
Hit us
got
up.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have the rocket jump Snapchat?
No, that's what we're saying.
No, that's why we have to do the underscore.
Underscore.
Oh, rocket underscore
want
jump?
the
Yeah.
underscore.
No. There's someone listening right now.
Probably not listening.
Probably not listening.
No,
Sure
one's
they are.
listening.
Let's hope. Let's be optimistic about it at least.
Anyway, but let's talk about
We're gonna
you.
sue you.
Whoa!
Just take it way far.
Asham, how would you describe your experience?
Working with us.
Wait, no, tell us about yourself. People don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
That's true.
Who
Tell us
am
about
I?
yourself.
Yeah, who
Where
are
are
you,
from?
Asham?
Who are you? Who are you?
I'm from the Bay Area.
right.
I studied film at San Francisco State.
There you go.
Where in the Bay Area, by the way?
Where in the Bay Area?
The
Sunnyvale and San Jose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The other side of the
The,
tracks.
the
Bay
south
part.
side.
South
South side
side.
of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And then went to school at SF State. Go Gators.
Yeah.
Although I don't think anyone that goes there actually says that.
Nope. Yeah, all right.
Though they don't have a football team, so
Oh,
you know,
nice.
what are they gonna do? Yeah, and then just been working out here and did film festivals for a while out of college.
When you
And
say
then moved
did
in-
film festivals, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Just wandered around. No, I worked mostly venue management for different festivals, so like Sundance in Toronto and SF Film Festival.
So you would book up like theaters?
I worked theater management as well as every festival has venues for like panels or the parties and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I'd help manage those type of venues.
Is that how you got into producing?
How
How do you get into producing?
That I actually chose in college because no one else wanted to do it.
That's what every
I
producer
went into
says.
went into college, wanting to direct, found out no one else wanted to produce. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I have an organizational mind. I'm just going to do
Sure.
that instead.
But
so I
and
can
where did
actually get work.
that dream to work in film come from?
It came from not wanting to be in engineering.
Okay.
That's really where it came from. So I did
Ah.
theater all through high school.
Yeah.
Was going to go do computer science. Like that was my major, studying classes.
So when you're doing theater, you're in the plays.
I was, yeah. I
Yeah, you
acted
getting lead
then,
roles?
and then
What
decided.
plays?
What was your biggest role?
Biggest role was Colonel Pickering in My Fair Lady.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah.
So not bad.
Yeah. You got
I
a good
definitely took
singing
all my
voice?
singing lines away and gave it to someone who could
Okay.
actually sing. But I was there. I was
can't
there.
sing?
But I had. Oh,
I was so
I
excited.
can.
You can?
I can't. No, I can't.
Oh,
my brother
okay,
can.
really cool.
I cannot.
If you just
Okay.
move your lips, we'll dub something
There, that's
awesome
perfect.
later.
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
pretend to sing. I sing to myself, and when no
Everybody
one else
does.
is listening.
Yeah.
And but that's it. So I decided not to struggle as an actor and struggle as a filmmaker instead. That was basically the thought process. But there was like a moment where I decided not to do what like computer science or
Yeah,
engineering.
what was that moment?
I was a junior. A lot of family friends were seniors, all Indians, all at a party in a circle. I asked them, "Where are you guys going to school? What are you majoring in?"
Oh boy.
Yale, Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, Brown, every Ivy League, UCLA, Berkeley, whatever. What are you guys majoring in? Blank engineering, I kid you not, 10 people, some kinds of engineering. And at that moment, I was like, nope.
No, I'm out. I'm
You're
out.
like, yo, engineering's taken care of. My family's
I know,
already
right?
contributing
Yeah.
enough.
No, but I couldn't do it at that point. I was like, I had to figure out something else.
So where are they now?
Oh,
Wildly
they're all doing
successful.
their thing. Yeah,
No, they're probably all
I
still in
don't know,
school.
Startups.
Oh, that's
and
true. Are they
tech.
still in school?
That's actually a good point.
Right,
I have
isn't-
to go check. I think a lot of them are still in school.
Which is insane to
Probably
me.
a lot paying off a whole lot of debt.
Yeah.
Working 80 hours a week. I honestly don't have an idea.
So you're telling all kids, don't go into engineering, don't get a real,
don't
don't
do
get a real
anything. Go
major.
study film at school. Study film or
Study
like
film.
communications or humanities.
Yeah.
That's where the real jobs are.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's funny because I heard the advice that I've heard now is don't get into a job which can be done over a phone line, which was like something that a guy said in like 1994, like when the internet first started. Like he was this guy who was just like looked into the future. He's like, and obviously at the time it was like phone line, internet. But he's like, any job that can be done over a phone line will be useless in this country because everyone you can just do it anywhere else and it'll just become a global marketplace for it. And so it was this one of those things where people are now looking back and like, whoa, this guy called it back when AOL first came out. But it's interesting because it's stuff like film and stuff. It's like, well, it's an entertainment thing. You kind of can't quite do it remotely. And then also like a lot of the trades, things like plumbing.
Yeah.
And like, hey, guess what? We need plumbers. You can't outsource a plumber.
Nope.
Like your house is here.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff is starting to become important.
That's-
Outsource or automate too. That's another way a lot of jobs are being lost.
See, the producing thing is kind of fascinating to me because it's like, I think every producer I've ever talked to, that's essentially more or less what they've said, which is at a certain point, they're like, okay, nobody wants to do producing. I should just produce. And that's not a bad instinct. And it's not to say like, hey, if you want to be a director, don't be a director. The problem I have is that I feel like if you go back like in the earlier days of Hollywood, like producing has this like very like non-creative, like money-oriented connotation right now,
Right.
which I don't think is accurate, and I think it's actually kind of destructive. Like when we go to the Producer Guild Awards, it's like you kind of see this, and you can tell like they look at like Norman Lear and all these like classic producers. You look at like a lot of the old school producing teams back in Hollywood, which I'm going to do a terrible job of remembering the main Pritzberg and something who did like Colonel Blimp and all those like huge like Red Shoes, all these huge movies. They're really creative guys. There's a different sort of creativity. It's the person who fosters people and like make sure that their creativity is protected from like outside sources and like all this stuff. And I feel like right now so many people just get into producing
Well, they think
for the
cigar-
money
and they
or
think-
because they stumble into it. And
Or think it's all about
Or,
just
or it's
the
some sort
money.
of backdoor way of getting control over something that
yeah,
they think
and
they
it's
can't
so
obtain.
negative.
Yeah.
We've been really lucky to have producers like you that are
Yeah.
like very creative and get into it. And I guess which now it just turns into some like soapbox lecture. But don't think there's something negative about going to producing. I wish there was actually more creative people who would go into producing because it is arguably the most important creative job in a way because it's the one who allows it all to happen.
And what's interesting is that in your head, the layperson's idea of what directing is far more in line with what producing is.
Yeah,
right.
that's
In
actually
your
true.
head, like, oh, yeah, puts the project together
I mean,
and gets
and I-
everyone thing.
And
it's like,
ideally,
eh.
it's a partnership too.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
ideally it isn't a separation of like you do this, I do this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of communication and back and forth, and that's one thing I did find interesting about it originally. I mean, I didn't go into it so I can balance budgets.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I like the idea of
But like your taxes are
working
like on
with-
point now, right?
on point. It's
like,
I don't know. I think it's getting to that point now. I don't know if I'm gonna hand it off to someone else. But I like the idea of working with writers, developing and finding the right directors and the right actors. I think that whole process I've always found fascinating, and that's
Yeah.
what I like most about producing is that it's a big picture idea,
Yeah.
rather than the minutia and
Minutia,
making
yeah.
every little detail. It's kind of making the broader choices,
Yeah.
and I enjoy that because that's how my mind works.
What was
is,
your
you know,
your first
overall.
professional producing gig? How did you make that happen?
Let's see. First, besides like my own short films,
Yeah,
exactly.
I actually a feature that I worked on. They were independent filmmakers, and they're based down in LA. And we met at the San Francisco Film Festival, and they needed someone to kind of put stuff together in San Francisco because they were shooting a large chunk of their film up there. And it started out as kind of more just me helping, put crew, find locations, that kind of stuff, and ended up getting enough people where they really appreciated it, and they just kind of gave me associate producer credit. So that was like the first time
That's
that I really
also-
felt.
And also, really quick, that's also something that I see a lot of the pattern of, which is like, oh, producing. There's like, no, there's no track. You just kind of help people out, and you
Yeah.
slowly accumulate
You know,
credits.
it's
Exactly.
that classic networking thing.
And then once you have a
that
couple
everyone talks
credits-
Damn networking thing.
And once you have a couple credits, then it's like, oh, okay, I guess I got an associate producer credit, which means now I can call myself at least that.
Right.
And
yeah.
then
It's on
like,
the internet, so it makes it real. Yeah.
I have an IMDb, so that's perfect. That's all I need. But yeah, that was kind of the first bigger projects that I worked on, and then a lot of stuff with you guys and my own shorts and the mix of things. And you know, even working, I feel like working on commercials, even as like a coordinator, you're doing a lot of things that a producer would do.
because that's how
Yeah.
that's
Just, like,
and that's
hands the
and that's how we
handoff.
found you. Correct? Was
Yeah.
through
Was it through Alicia or
Through Alicia, yeah.
through our friend
through
Alicia.
So you worked on the craft stuff, right?
I worked first Skyhook. That was the
Skyhook.
first
Oh,
one.
that's right.
Back, I think it was like 2 years ago.
So
now.
was
wow.
every '90s commercial the first? Was that the first full? Like you were the producer on that? Was
Yes.
that the first one?
It was.
See,
It
look at
was.
that.
Look at that.
Biggest
Crushed
hit.
it.
It has nothing to do with you, man. I gotta say, I
Grand
think
slam.
it's entirely Asham here. It's the first one he
man.
does.
You know, I'll
Crushed
take
it.
whatever.
You made it
I'll take the
happen.
credit because of my way. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say no.
And then the next video that we have coming out, which might be up by the time this airs. No, does this air this week?
this week. Yeah.
Man,
Okay, so
podcasts
next
start
week.
moving fast.
Next
Yeah, so
Monday.
yeah, next Monday.
Yeah,
We have another video coming out
which
for
is gonna be awesome.
in relation with Kingsman, which
Yep.
I don't know if I think we've talked about, which we actually do love immensely. Me and Freddie skipped another day of work to go see it a second time.
Half day of work, Matt. Have you?
It's nice. To
We got
talk-
lunch afterwards. It's pretty much a whole day.
It's nice to have to talk a movie that's actually really good.
Yeah.
because that movie was awesome.
And that was directed by Clint, and which we were gonna have on, so we'll have to have him on next time here to talk about because it's the first time he's done something specifically with us that we had direct, and
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
That was
Yeah,
definitely was shooting 2 days downtown in the
yeah.
midst of all the craziness.
Oh, we had
was-
some fun. And we can
Oh,
talk
we
about this
did.
now. We'll talk about the creative stuff with Clint a little bit, but like, man, did you hear about all the production stuff that happened?
I mean, I was there, so yeah. I mean, essentially, Clint was directing, Freddie was in it, and me and him were both supervising. But there's the Hulu show going on, so I was there just in the mornings. The first morning
Dude.
though was when that truck was there.
we roll up.
unloading
We have this
steel.
alley. We have this alleyway, and we're working in this alleyway, and we ostensibly have it. But then the building next door, which had been closed for
Yeah.
6 months, they're like, "Hey, so today is the day we're gonna start moving stuff into it and start building." We're like, "What?"
And when they say stuff, they don't mean we're moving furniture.
Oh, no.
They're moving piping
And like rebar, giant,
Yeah, there's
Oh, wow.
just
semi-truck
rebar.
rebar.
There are jackhammers going
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
I remember
and
you went up to them
they
and you're like, "When are you gonna be done?" And they were like, "An hour." And I looked at Josh, I'm like, "They're not gonna be done
No, there's no
in
way.
an hour." I
They were-
left like
I
3
mean,
hours later. They were still going.
They were super nice to us, and they are hardworking people. But
Yeah.
man, were they moving slow.
Well, it's one of those things where they didn't have like the lift. They had like all these bundles of rebar, like 40
Yeah.
feet long on this truck, and their method to get it off was to put metal underneath it and lever it over. 4 guys are standing on a truck levering it over, and then it clatters to the ground. It's the loudest thing.
Pushing was their method.
Yeah.
And
So
every time
rolling it.
every time they hit the ground, it felt like the building behind you started falling
Yeah.
down. Like it was so loud. It's like and it just started bouncing and just keep hitting, making noise.
And as that was going,
Yeah.
the building across the alley, and now this is not a city street. This is an alley.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we have all this. The one across was demoing. So
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
exact same kind of sounds from the building across the way.
Some of these workers who are working, they just like lean out over the balcony. There's
Yeah.
like constantly throughout the day, people just lean out over the balcony and just see a bunch of assholes with guns and bananas. And like, and they're thinking like,
300
their
banana
story is like, we're trying to do work and these dumbasses are doing just
fluffing
yeah,
about.
fluffing about during the day, doing nothing.
And the best part is
true.
That's true. That's true. And then the best part, of course, is the fact that while we're doing this over 2 days, and we're like, oh, thank goodness. Thursday it's gonna be cloudy. Friday it's gonna be cloudy. Friday it's like, okay, it's not just cloudy, guys. Thunderstorms throughout the region.
gosh.
And then you had called that. You had said, like, at some point, you're like, guys, we got to move because Lane, the costume designer's in Hollywood. She's in a thunderstorm around. It's headed our way. And it's like, we have 20 minutes before this thunderstorm hits us.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, everyone.
Yeah, everyone's
Yeah, right, we're in
I think
LA.
our key grip, Dom, was like, I'm from Chicago. It's not going to rain. I was like, all right, buddy. I'm keeping you to your word.
right.
And
Dude, it came and it came and
man.
it was thunder. It was nuts. It thundered. And by the way, once again, the game that I play with thunder in LA or what rain in LA is T minus how many seconds until you hear sirens or police sirens after it starts to rain?
Yeah.
About 15 seconds.
Yeah.
seriously?
Yeah.
People don't know how to drive in the rain here.
No, they don't.
But yeah, it was weird because it hit us too. It was like a 30-minute hardcore. It was like this tiny thunderstorm that was moving at like 70 miles per hour,
Yeah, it was moving
like
so
through
fast.
LA area because
It was bizarre.
it hit Burbank. Like it felt like I've driven through the Midwest. I lived on the East Coast. Like it was a legitimate thunderstorm. It was like
Yeah,
it hit
Hardcore.
pouring, truly pouring rain, massive thunder. You're just hearing it and then gone in 30 minutes. You're like,
Yeah.
where did it go? And then all of a sudden, then you text like it's raining here now. I'm like, this thing's just soaring across Los
And not
Angeles.
just raining. Like, it was to the point where we
Pouring.
were all hiding under an awning
Yeah.
right by a point in the alley where it decided to flood. So basically, we were trapped in
Nice.
this little
Yeah.
side
Anyway,
alley to that.
More
was
thrilling
crazy.
discussions of weather and other production calamities
Oh, yeah.
after our quick little break. We'll see you guys in just a second. Hey folks, Des and Freddie here. I think for most of us, shaving sucks.
It's a drag,
It's
man.
a really annoying experience. The razor blades are expensive. They're kept hidden behind lock and key. You need someone to help you even allow you to purchase them in the first place when you go to the store.
If you're lucky enough
You
to
get
get it
ripped
home,
off.
you can't open the darn plastic clamshell to use the things. They always seem overpriced.
Not worth it. They are overpriced. There's a better way, and it's with Harry's. If you go to harrys.com, you can get for $15 the razor starter kit.
This thing is gorgeous.
It comes
I'll pop
with
this open.
a fantastic looking razor. You got shaving cream, you got aftershave, you got 3 blade refills to get you started.
Look at this thing, man. No plastic clamshell.
It comes it's a very
Right?
nice box, yes.
It's
And
gorgeous.
it comes right to your door. You can it's a mail service. You specify how often you need blade refills. They'll just mail to you. You set it, you forget. It's fantastic. They've been hooking this up for the last month, and I've been using this. It's a fantastic shaving
I have
experience.
as well.
This is the best razor I've used.
Man, I've
for
never
sure.
been more pleased. This thing is fantastic. Like you say, it's the nicest thing in my bathroom. And this aftershave, my lady loves it. It smells fantastic.
It smells pretty good. And now here's the thing. They've hooked us up. They're hooking you guys up too. So if you head over to harrys.com, HARRYS.com, and use the coupon code Facerocker, you can get $5 off your first purchase. So get going on smelling like a man, feeling like a man, shaving like a man with harrys.com. Use the coupon code Facerocker.
Go pamper yourselves.
We are hanging today with Ashim Ahuja. Is that correct?
It's about right. I've heard that. That's
What
for
is
sure.
what is the actual pronunciation?
So it's definitely not
I
right.
have literally, it's Ahuja.
Ahuja.
Just sneeze, and that's basically what it sounds like. See, there you go.
Yeah,
you got
perfect.
it.
Nailed it.
You'll be surprised. Actually, I don't think you would be surprised how many iterations of my name I have heard over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And also what I have to sound like over the phone. Ashim?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
No, Ashim. What's Ashim? How can you not get this?
Ashim's
Because
easy.
the thing is, people don't actually listen when they ask what your name is.
Right.
They just ask and then expect to hear something they know.
Yeah.
And then when they hear something like
Dan.
my name, it's like, wait, what now?
Yeah, what?
What did I just
I wasn't
hear?
really listening.
No, I wasn't actually listening. So it usually takes a couple times. And then my thing is, after 3 times of correcting, I just give up.
Do you have a nickname that you can get? Like
Osh.
change?
Osh is what I go for.
Okay.
Especially on set over walkie and stuff. Just
Yeah,
keep
that
it
makes
easy.
better. That works
Like
better.
the hardware store.
Like the hardware store, except with an A. Because I couldn't do Ash as a kid
Sure.
because of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Wait,
So-
back up. Pokemon's cool now, though, so you
It
can.
is. It's like I could go back to Ash, but I
Ash.
don't know. It was
Some
hard.
people would call you Asham.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Yeah,
Again,
which was
again
yeah.
literally every iteration has been spoken.
What's
so
the
I've heard
worst?
it all.
What's the worst you've been called?
I
Fucking asshole.
I'll-
Fucking
yeah.
asshole.
Fucking A.
The chillest bro you know.
I mean, what the worst is when they just add other letters.
Sure.
So
Oh,
that's the
man.
worst. It's just like I never even said that. That's
Yeah.
not even Austin. I think I hear Austin a lot. But there's no T in my name at all. So it's funny.
What do you do at like
It's-
Starbucks?
Oh, I always say someone else's name.
Really?
Or
Yeah.
Josh. I say I don't even try. For a while there, I was saying Paul, Chris, Matt,
Yeah.
John, like every day.
Oh,
I
man.
just did not want to deal
And
with
then
it.
they don't get that right, and
Well,
then
no,
you're
but then
so
when they
confused.
say Matt, I'm just not listening. Like, wait,
Yeah.
oh, right, me.
I think that's me.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It is. And then spelling my email address. That's the worst.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
actually having to spell to
You
everybody.
should just
what-
be AA at.
I tried. But someone even had my full name, Ashim Ahuja at Gmail.
What?
was
Really?
taken. Yeah. So I had to change
find
it to
him and
something that I'm not gonna
destroy
tell
him.
you. I know.
I guess
know.
it shouldn't be surprising that somebody else has your name.
Well, there's like 3 in the world. Well, if Facebook is the world, there's 3 in the world.
If Facebook's an accurate representation of the entire
Right.
world.
Which I mean, we're getting there. Oh,
Yeah,
well, now it's apparently for older people though. My
Really?
girlfriend's in school and she's going to school with younger people,
Uh-huh.
and she's horrified at the things she hears and like how.
I
a
like
lot
the
of
way you said
people-
younger people. Like that's usually how people say something when they're about to say like a racial thing that they're not sure is inappropriate or not. They're
Right.
like young. Like is that the appropriate term
said it-
for this group of people?
I said it that way
Younger's
'cause I feel
okay.
like
That's
our
not
audience
gonna
is
offend
younger.
anybody. Okay.
That's why I said it that way. But it's fascinating to hear. It's like Facebook's where I get my news, and apparently no one's using it anymore.
I'm just terrible. I've never latched onto any of those, which I know I should. Like
Yeah.
I still don't use Facebook, which means I miss most parties. And then I'm like, word that you send it, and like, what? I invited you on
Right.
Facebook. It's like I don't.
Yeah,
I still don't buy that though. When people invite you to an event on
Yeah.
Facebook, and that's the only way they communicate with you,
Yeah.
like that's not a real invitation.
You didn't really want me
I'm
to
sorry.
come.
Yeah. If you really want me to come, just text me.
If you knew
Or
me and you
send an
invite me
email.
only on Facebook,
Then you knew that I wasn't coming.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't like that.
So one of the stories that Alicia has, and I'm curious, not to get too racial into this, but Alicia has a really
Whoa.
funny story where she was using her name, Alicia Martinez, and was just not getting any work, any calls back, nothing.
Yep.
So she's changed her she changed her email to Alicia Martin.
Yep.
And
Oh, yeah,
the
that's right.
moment she did that, people are calling. That's fine.
No. Are
Shocking.
you telling me race is still an issue?
Apparently,
Oh, boy.
I
apparently,
keep getting told that there's
I
no
don't
racial problems
no.
anymore. That it's just people
They're
being
all
offended
gone.
for nothing.
There was a
Yeah.
survey.
There's a survey, all
yeah.
gone.
It was on
Yeah.
Toluca Lake. It's just all gone.
yeah,
now.
I'll go. a quick check.
She was telling me
actually.
also, I forget what she changed it into. She was still saying there's still even a problem with when she's like with a new like client or somebody, like there's even a problem with like her having a female name.
Yeah.
Like especially as a
Jeez.
producer, it's like, nah.
Yeah, it's
Producer
like
requires maths and stuff.
yeah, it's like
Can't be a
oh,
girl doing
can't
it.
be a girl. It's like yeah, it's in Hollywood, by the way, is white as hell.
Oh my
And
God,
that's the
it's
other thing that
insane.
people. Oh, and by the way, it's like you want to know how you know? Producers Guild Award, Matt. How many people of color did you see in that room?
You know, I forgot for a moment that there was different races. I think it was just you.
Was that?
Yeah.
I think it was just you in there.
Like literally, I remember looking around.
And I remember when who got the guy who won for when it was
Yeah.
a Lego movie.
Lego movie,
Like
yeah.
literally, I didn't feel as bad because you gasped too. We were both like, "What? It's not a white guy." Like we're not a white guy.
Dude, I do a quick check.
We're not a white guy.
No, it was a we are not white guy. That's a weird Freudian slip.
Yeah.
We're like that's like white guilt coming out like full force. We're not a white guy.
Me and my id and my super ego. We're not white guys. No, yeah, because I did a quick little check in the room.
Yeah.
I was like, is this the whitest room I've ever
Yeah.
seen? The car sponsor's Cadillac. Like it's just like how much whiter can you get?
being very
and
clear
then the
about
guy
it.
they
Yeah.
won Producers Guild won Producers Guild for Lego Movie.
Yeah.
And the guy came up was an Asian dude. I was like, it's an Asian dude. Like where was this guy?
That's awesome.
That's why I realized, like, no matter how, like, aware and progressive I try to be, it's like, again, that's why you just always have to allow, you always have to listen to other people in the situation because I feel like I'm pretty sensitive. I feel like, I'm very aware of the situation, but still, I would never have thought about that room being whitewashed.
Yeah.
Unless you had brought it up.
Yeah,
Like, because it's just natural. Like, I just don't think about it. Then somebody brings it up, I go, oh my God, you're right. It is all white people. Like, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And
and
that's the thing.
it
That's
is.
the thing.
I mean, the whole Oscars thing this year, and then
Oh, yeah.
there's some stuff circling now about Sundance and how it really shows Hollywood up on how diverse it is. Because
Mhm.
you see the filmmakers, and I think it was, I don't know the exact number, but it was a high percentage of female filmmakers and
Yeah.
foreign filmmakers, and just different people telling stories. And I think it's great, but there is that problem.
Yep.
And
Do
it's
we ever
there.
want to get into the Directors Guild? Because maybe we just shouldn't.
Oh
Talk-
boy. Well, it's funny because they've talked to us.
We could even bring
Matt,
it
they've
up.
talked to you and I specifically
Yeah.
about when we were at the stream. He's a representative from various guilds. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's sit down, let's talk about this stuff. And listen, I think it's a system that's been in place in Hollywood for a good long time.
Yeah.
And like any system that's been established in the 40s or 50s, the relevancy
It's super
of it,
progressive, full of women and
Right.
people
super
of
progressive
different
on top of
races and
thing. Yeah.
creeds.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no,
flexible.
yeah, maybe we shouldn't talk. See, that's the thing. It's like, from my understanding, it's like if we were to even talk about our concerns with the DGA right now, it could literally probably affect us from ever getting to the DGAs.
It probably
if we
could,
wanted to get into the DGAs.
Yeah,
In fact,
absolutely.
me even saying that's probably us too.
That's
like,
too
guys,
late.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I kind of spoken
Right
about it.
enough.
But we wouldn't be able to be. Do they allow co-directors anymore? Is that a thing now?
Well,
Do
I
they?
noticed
I
the,
believe that's still an issue.
It's still an issue even for
because
like
the Wachowskis are now credited as the Wachowskis, right?
Yeah,
Did you
I
see
think you
that?
might
As
be
one
like a
image?
single
Yeah,
name thing.
It's the same reason why the
But then
Coen
what-
brothers
Our producer
both don't
director.
take
What
One
do
takes producer,
director
one takes
credits,
director.
right.
what do speaking of Lego Movie, Phil Lord and Chris Miller do? Because didn't they?
I don't know if they're
co-write?
part of the DJ. That's I also don't know who's in the DJs or not. They may
Sure.
not be, or they may be. I thought that they finally took care of directing team. Also, it was shocking. They were looking at it's like 4 out of
I'm looking
I
up.
forget whose top 10 list, but somebody's top 10 list was like 6 out of the 10 movies were teams, and they're like that's strange. And like you look back, it's like there's a lot more directing teams right now than has been before. So I feel like that might be because
How was it?
DJs
How was it
eventually
like
accepted
old?
it.
Well, I guess producer almost kind of filled.
That's
that
what I mean.
role.
Back in
I
the day,
was
producers
actually
were a
gonna
lot
say
more
that,
creative.
yeah.
Like producing teams were. I just need to see that name, otherwise I'm
But
gonna
I
go
think-
crazy. It's like Pressburg and something were like the biggest.
But
I
back
feel-
in the day,
I feel that a lot of directors also, in their own right, do a lot of producing. You know, even if it's not like
yeah.
titled as their responsibility. You know, putting.
Well, it's just because it becomes one of those things where it's like, look, there's roles that need to be filled, things that need to be done
Yeah.
at this top
Powell
level.
and Pressburg.
Yeah.
Powell and Pressburg.
So it's things that need to be done at this top level, and people do them, and it's not necessarily just one person doing it, and it's not necessarily one person's very specific. It's not movies aren't an assembly line. It's not like one
Yeah.
guy stands at
Right.
the head of it and does this and just rivets
Passes
this thing
it
in, and that's it,
along,
and
yeah.
passes it along. It's like
Yeah.
no, it's a bunch of people doing a bunch of things, and then it becomes just weird and hairy when you're like, okay, well then who did what?
Yeah.
And then what's that role mean? And that role means this specifically, which means that you're not getting credit for this. And it's like, which is why I kind of like look at Valve and I'm like, I like that.
Well, there's always that romantic, and there are definitely like auteurs out there. And I think auteurs also just become this connotation that if it's not something that's in auteur, then it's not as valuable, which is ridiculous to me. Auteur is not inherently good or bad. It just means it's a specific person's vision. And there's
Yeah.
plenty of people who say films can't be auteur, period, at all. Because
Yeah.
even again, we've talked about this before, but like you can take, there may not be co-director credit, but you take somebody like Billy Wilder, or you take somebody like even like Wes Anderson, and it's like, okay, they're sole director credit, but they have this relationship with like a writer or
Right.
a DP, which
Costume
you may
designer.
not know how that works on set, but it may be a lot more co-directing than you think. I'd say a lot of DP relationships, like we always laugh, but John Salmon is essentially a third director on that.
He
thing.
is absolutely.
Like, you
he
worked
was,
with him.
he
I mean,
was on
he's-
AdBlitz. He was
yeah.
my co-director on
yeah,
AdBlitz.
he has
Yeah.
he has specific ideas that you quote unquote consider directing. And again, it's the same thing. Like you talking to him about your camera angles means like you may have specific cinematography ideas. It's even in something like quote unquote auteur, they usually, if you look deeply, most films come out of collaboration of some sort. They usually have somebody who may be credited as something else, but they could very easily argue like, yeah, I should get co-director credit. Like, sure, I was only the writer, but I was on set. I would pull them aside, be like, hey, the way I wrote that, the actor should actually deliver it this way. You just directed, like that's directing. I mean, now we got into this, but yeah,
And
the
even-
idea. So, did you check? Can you get co-director credit on DJ
It looks like
still?
that's still an issue.
Which is
Really?
crazy.
And they
That's
trace
insane.
it back to some Frank Capra quote from forever ago about
said-
how
well, of
directing
course.
is a singular vision.
yeah,
It's just
Thanks, Capra.
Yeah,
yeah. Thanks a lot.
thanks.
That's like Gone with the Wind had like 5 directors on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just kept
Did it
replacing
really?
directors.
Well, then
and only
also
one person
the-
gets credited.
and the
But I
other
guess
thing,
It
and the
causes
other,
a lot of problems too because the DGA is a signatory to a lot of the big studios. So if you get a studio picture,
yeah,
but you have a directing partner, you're going to be screwed because
Yeah.
they are required to hire guild members.
and don't forget, by the way, that like when you're in a situation of almost any action movie these days, those action scenes aren't even directed by the director. Like
Right.
a lot of times, the director won't even be
That's-
there.
Right.
I was gonna say that for our
That's-
Kingsman shoot.
Second unit,
yeah. We had we actually can't say his name. We had somebody. We had a choreographer, and like that guy essentially co-directing.
All the fight
And
sequences.
for in fact,
was-
pretty much every Marvel movie. I mean, again, I don't know the specifics, so I don't want to like. If I'm wrong on this, I'm just making a point because I love James Gunn. He has a very clear voice in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm assuming this is the one guy who essentially previses every single like big action movie.
That's the
that
rumor,
guy
right?
that guy should legitimately be getting co-director credit on pretty much every big budget movie you're seeing because 30% of the runtime are completely CG choreographed fight scenes, and that guy is prevising and directing those fight scenes.
Yeah.
And second unit, and then people get second unit director credit, and then you get something like, okay, but then you have this like James Bond movie, and there's a second unit director. It's a lot of the runtime to be not a director.
Yeah,
credit.
and the only guy that I know who even like has I don't know if does Whedon have a super heavy hand in the previs side? I think he does.
I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure
The only guy I know is Timur Bekmambetov, the guy who did like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, because that's where he started. He has a company that does that. So that's like what his job was before, was doing that, which was like tied into his whole.
Well, I feel like that's why Bay flips people out, because like kind of pretentious film scholars who are really into like the idea of auteur theory and seeing their voices, it flips them out because Michael Bay is more of an auteur than most artistic directors. Like that guy is hands-on involved in every single aspect of the production. Like he directs the lighting within the CG scenes. Like he is there. I mean, do you see that cool behind the scenes with like the editing team?
No.
With Transformers 4. Again, it's too bad that the movie's utter freaking garbage. But what's fascinating is like and that when they talk to ILM guys, like it's so clear that Bay in post-production is just 24 hours a day on everybody.
Oh no!
Like,
so
absolutely.
I have a friend of a friend who is a guy who works at ILM doing stuff. I won't be specific, but he works and he in a position where he takes the director meetings and director notes and like is present for those. And he's like, first of all, like there's directors who don't know anything and are horrible, and we won't name them, but you can probably guess exactly who. But there's also, but he's like, Michael Bay, more than anybody, one, knows his shit, and two, calls you out. He'll be like, you didn't change this animation I told you guys to change. Like he sees everything on CG. Like he understands that. Like they're like, yeah, he's scary because he'll see every shortcut you take and call you out on it, but he knows exactly what he wants. And it's like, I'd rather have a guy who's hard on you, who knows exactly what they want, than most directors they deal with, which is
hard on you and they don't know what they want.
They have no idea what they want.
Maybe that applies to Bay in the post-production suite. But I've heard stories from people that have worked with Bay in front of the camera, and it is the exact opposite.
Well, it's because
he
he
doesn't know what he wants. They don't know what pages they're shooting. People are making up lines in the middle of takes, and he's just like, yeah, great, go with it.
Well, because
it sounds like he doesn't care about the script.
Well, yeah,
because my understanding is, but he holds the camera, like he camera ops.
Correct.
Like he does a lot.
He knows the shot that he wants. He knows his composition.
He's coming
he knows
from
what the finished product needs
he's
to
coming
be.
from a
It's
commercial.
something about the story within the frame that he doesn't give a
just
shit
doesn't care about
about.
the story.
A friend of mine was an extra on one of the Transformers, and he was surprised that Bay actually pointed him out, knowing that he was in one shot, so couldn't be in the other shot, and that's usually an AD's job. And he's like, but he is so aware.
I mean, he's coming from a commercial background, right? He did a lot of commercial stuff, and so is a visualist. It's from a sheer visual perspective. Image-based painting type of guy, you know, like that's kind of his perspective, which makes sense because then he's like in the CG world, like he's like, I mean, like there's I don't know if this is necessarily the case, but I remember there is apocryphal, but there's a story when they that ambient occlusion, like the idea of like in a cloudy environment, things still cast shadows, like soft diffuse shadows, was something that like Bay noticed and was like kind of, it's not that he invented it, but he was like, there's something wrong here. These things in cloudy environments, these need to do this. And Alan was like, he's right. And they looked at it like, oh, okay, we came up with a way of doing that. Like specifically.
I mean, it's so easy to tell the difference. Like you go back and watch Armageddon or Pearl Harbor, and those CG effects, look, they're from ILM. There's movies that have come out with just as big budgets. It's like
from ILM.
Those movies are like 10 years old. Those effects are better than stuff in John Carter.
Yeah.
They're better than like so many big budget movies.
Yeah.
And it's because, I mean, you watch behind the scenes and it's like he's sitting there and he's be like, oh, the light. Because again, at the end of the day, almost all effects come down to proper lighting.
Yeah.
Whether it's CG, whether you're doing green screen, whatever it is. It's like if the lighting matches, you can get away with a lot.
And you trace that back to him being a photographer.
Yeah.
You know, he paints with light. That's what he knows. Yeah.
Him and also
I just wish I liked his movies more. I love Babe, man.
Blomkamp as well, but Blomkamp is coming from an actual VFX background, so that's why his stuff looks fantastic because he knows what he's talking about there. You know. Yeah. Oh well, I guess we're not gonna ever. I guess we need to all quit and.
How did that get so depressing all of a sudden?
Yeah,
Why did we bring the mood down?
We're talking about guilds. I'm so distrustworthy.
I feel beat down, man. The
organizations.
system, the system.
Right?
I'm not anti-system.
Well, I told you my guild story. Well, you know what? It's okay. I'm just gonna say it. So
So we're just screwed.
Yeah, we're screwed. Look,
We're
guys.
screwed.
First year I did. First year I did. Well, no, listen to
If
this.
you want to be in the guild, Des, just step out of the room.
Yeah, listen to this. Listen to this.
I need those health benefits, guys. I'm gonna be out here.
Listen to this. First year of VGHS, okay? We did VGHS, which is it's SAG, or AFTRA. I'm trying to remember.
I think back then it was we were doing AFTRA.
That's correct.
And then SAG AFTRA became.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they merged. Okay, so we're doing VGHS. So that's one production I'm in because I'm playing Freddie Wong in that. And then the second thing was one of the things that we did with Zach Levi to get him in season 1 was like, oh, hey, let's do a little cameo swap. I'll show up on Chuck and you show up on this. Like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm in that one episode of Chuck in season 5 that he directed as a hacker. That's 2 productions. That's 2 productions in a year, which means that now I've been Taft-Hartley'd into the guild.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, around Christmas time, I get a note and they're like, hey, you owe SAG $1,500. I was like, okay, wait, for what?
That's cheap.
I was like, for what?
That's
For being in my own series and showing up in my friend's thing, and I owe you guys $1,500?
That's ridiculous.
What would they give you for that money? I mean, it must be fantastic to be in a guild. They must give you all those
Your
benefits for
grandfather
$1,500.
into the guild, right? So what are the benefits of
Those
being
are the
in said
dues
guild?
immediately.
Right.
I do. I could get some health insurance,
Okay.
which I already had.
Okay.
Is it free health insurance? Is it paid
No,
for?
No.
Right. So you pay $1,500 to get the option to pay more for
access to
health
Yes,
insurance.
You're right. Access to their health insurance. It was nothing. It was like I was like, this is what it must have felt like to own like a salami shop in old Italy in New York and have the guys come in suits and be like,
just
you need
shake
some
you down.
protection. It was a shakedown.
Yeah.
It is a shakedown.
I was
Oh,
so
man.
angry about that.
And again, it's such a sensitive topic to talk about because again, I
Wait,
understand
real
why
quick,
guilds
real
are
quick. I'm
made.
sorry, guys. I just want to reemphasize: $1,500.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Over $1,000
By the
for
way,
nothing.
by the way,
I know people $1,500 more dollars than you made.
By the way, that's
playing those 2 roles.
Freddie's in that situation. Think about that for the actors. We had actors who couldn't be in it because we had friends who were like, "Yeah, I can't be in it because if I do one more thing, I have to pay SAG-AFTRA."
pay the
You know
dues.
what day rate for an actor is like on a low budget shoot is
it's
like
not
$120.
much. Yeah.
Like it's like $200. So you literally had to have acted at least like 2 weeks to pay the dues to allow you to be in the guild in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
know
it's
look,
ridiculous.
it's very beneficial to people who are getting a lot of work. Most actors aren't getting a lot of work. And I will go as far as to say this. There's an option. And for those of you actors out there looking at this, it's called financial core. And this is something built into the U.S. Law.
They don't want you to talk about this.
And they
They're
don't
like,
want you to talk about this. All right. And financial core says this. I will choose to take some of the benefits that the guild provides, only some of them, which it's defined by, I believe, by the guild or what have you. But I'm not doing all the benefits.
Yeah.
I'm not paying the full amount. I'm paying less to the guild. However, I'm also now free to go and just do non-union productions. I'm choosing as a person to not take the full productions of the guild and then to have the freedom to do non-union productions and just sort of do my thing. They really hate it when people talk about this, and they lie. They straight up. So here's the best part about it. Built into U.S. law, every single guild or union must tell their members about this option, that this is a freedom that you have as an American citizen to be able to take a financial core. They're required to tell you about it, but they're not required to tell you about it in an even-handed way. So if you look at what the guild says about financial core, they straight up lie. There's like, producers won't hire you if you have financial core. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
really? Like if you producers will look and see that you don't have you may not get a job. That's a scare tactic. I talked to like 10 producers like, no, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like
No,
whatever.
no.
It's like, what did you just do some more paperwork or change
There was,
paperwork around?
for Liquid Slam, we wanted every
90s commercial
90s
ever.
we made. Sorry, I forget the title sometimes. We wanted to cast a kid who was SAG, and we couldn't because he's on a TV series, and it sucks. He was so excited to work with us. We couldn't
Can't do
hire
it.
him,
Yeah.
and it really. I mean, that's where I think it sucks is when you are getting in the way of doing what.
I've also talked to stunt guys. Like I was on a plane once with one of the stunt guys we've worked with. He was on his way to do some TV stuff in North Carolina, and I was just talking about that. He's like, "Yeah, it sucks because the guild requires stuff like if you're getting flown, must be in first class, like stuff like that." Which is, by the way, a real like side way of me telling you that I was in first class on that flight. right? Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But he was like, dude, like I've lost work because of some of these requirements for just travel, like because it's like the production can't afford it. And he's like, look, if I had a choice, I'll fly coach to work a week.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if I have to be put. I don't have to be put up in better hotels or whatever.
Sure.
It's like, I'll just work.
No,
but I don't have
it's a destruct. That's the problem. It's like, so the reason I have, because again, the ideas of guilds, very fine. There are aspects of it that work really well. The thing that flips me out is the fact that it's the same problem with like organized religions and a lot of other stuff. Is like, you can't talk about it. Like the fact that you're bringing up is like, look, I have no problem if guilds were like, hey, this is the benefits we have. There are some negatives. Like go ahead, like criticize and kind of discuss. Let's have a discourse about the pluses and minuses. No.
Let's exercise our First Amendment rights.
Yeah, like we have to be so sensitive to talk about this. Like I even want to just say like, because I don't even want to say most people we know, because then like some guild members might be like, oh, who have they worked with before?
Right.
Screw this. But like I talk to people who wanted to hire for stuff, and most people I know who are in guilds rather take non-guild jobs and not get the credit they deserve, because if you do a non-guild job and you're a guild member, you can't get the credit you deserve. That doesn't feel like the guild's doing a positive thing, does it? And it's like they would rather do it because they don't want their money taken out for health insurance they don't want to pay for. They don't want like a bunch of they don't want fly first class. They'd rather take that money that the production paid for first class and put it in their own pockets and pay their rent and stuff like that.
Feed their kids,
Feed their kids.
At the end of the day,
Make the movie better.
Make the movie better.
What I always thought was basically this, which is like this system and all these rules are in place. Why? Because there's a good, long, fat history of Hollywood just screwing people.
Yeah, that is what it is.
And that's what it is. That's a big, long history of Hollywood being dicks to people. And it's just fair. That's true. And I understand why these rules come out. It makes it hard when you're not a dick and you're not trying to screw people to be bound by dick rules.
You're just trying to make something.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's like...
Because we sit there, like, we have done this. Like, again, we've not... I don't like being on a soapbox and crap like this, but like, me and Freddie never took any payment for 3 seasons of Video Game High School, despite being 4 different job members. You can talk to anybody who's worked with us. Everything we've done is try to pay people fairly as possible. Bonuses when required, good hours, a friendly film set, safe. We believe in having like the most fun, safe, and like creative environment possible. That's our entire goal. That's why we do this and not the other shit. Guilds in every way mostly have essentially made it. It always feels like you're battling that in order to do some other roundabout stuff that make it just worse. And it's like, and look, there are definitely guilds protect against bad environments. There are definitely bad film sets. There are bad directors. There are bad producers. There are all these horrible things, which then guilds are good because they prevent that crap from happening. Especially you can go to the special effects guilds and all this other stuff. Also, we're talking about guilds like a very general. There's obviously differences between the guilds. The problem is just that guilds work really well in like one thing, but it also seems to hurt when you get into a certain other section.
Yeah.
And I just wish there was like a free discussion about it so that we could find solutions to it.
At the end of the day, it's got to be like the doctor's thing, right? Do no harm.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like that needs to be the principle, which is to quote Al Pacino's character in Glenn Ross, right? You're supposed to work with us, not fuck us up.
Yeah, it's like, have those guild rules. They make sense for big productions and all this other stuff. Sure. But do no harm. Like if a guild member, if this would help them and their creative and their personal lives, find a way to make rules that allow that to happen rather than screwing people over.
And if that person is okay with it,
then what does it
can't
matter?
do it because of the guild they're part of. Doesn't make any sense.
That was an interesting Pacino quote. I thought you were going to go with hoo-wah.
From Sensible Woman.
Wrap up with Al Pacino's most famous quote.
No, Joey and I just throw Glenn Ross quotes at each other because it's just incredible.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Let's just replace the word guilds. Can we do that in post? Can we replace the word guilds with like coffee shops so we can all still get jobs?
Snack picks. No snack picks.
I guess I'll put it this way. Because you may note, those listening at home, you may note there's we're kind of being we're very careful in terms of what we're saying here. We're kind of trying to be diplomatic in terms of our speech. Last time I checked, we lived in America. And last time I checked, the First Amendment guarantees freedom of speech.
Yeah, but doesn't guarantee that what you say is no one's gonna get pissed off at what you say.
That's true. But let me put it this way. All right. Land free, home of the brave. The only other time, just to tell you something, the only other time I've ever been like in conversations where it's like I need to be very careful about what I want you to say is when you're talking about things like Scientology. When you're talking about things like weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's fear here in our voices. You can tell. Yeah. Because it's like nobody really is okay with anybody talking openly about some of these problems.
I mean, I have issues with what Leigh Alexander is fascinating because there's part of like sometimes when she talks, I'm like, if you just said it differently, you could actually be productive, and she would hate the idea that I even said that.
Who, Lexi?
But like, Lexi. Yeah. Oh, sorry, not Leigh Alexander. Leigh Alexander is another awesome person. Lexi Alexander. But it's the same thing. Like all she does is go out against the guilds and the piracy, like people who are anti-piracy and stuff like that. Sure. And believe it or not, but it's like it's a very serious issue for her. Like she's essentially making it very tough for her to get a job because, and there's an element of that. And again, it's like we are pretty diplomatic and have been pretty good. We've worked with brands. Like we know how to like toe the line. We know how to find a way to make creative stuff even within kind of these confines. But there's just, I don't know what I want to say. It's just tough. It's a tough line to toe. Because we're just trying to make good stuff.
Speaking of tough lines to toe, let's spend the last few minutes discussing in a very diplomatic roundabout
Where are we
way
going now?
some of the fun things that happened on every 90s commercial.
Then why do we have to be diplomatic about that?
I mean, I don't know what we can actually say or what we can't. You know,
Well, Austin, how was it? How was it to produce that?
I had a blast. It was very fun.
that was some of the most fun we've ever had on
it
set,
really was.
right?
We had such a great crew and the freedom to kind of just have fun
And also, by the way, just real quick, where was the park that we were at? What was that called?
Brand Park.
Brand Park in Burbank. Listen, if you're gonna murder kids, Brand Park.
Whoa. For a movie.
For a movie.
But
here's the
we
thing,
might be
I realized-
legal liable if somebody goes and murders a kid after this.
But real quick, I just noticed because someone made a YouTube comment. Like, did you guys have to call the cops and let them know that you guys could just be screaming there all day? I was like, I don't think we did. And we had kids screaming there all day.
And when you watch it, I'm sure you have, she screamed loud.
No, but I'm saying if you're in a house next door and you just hear screams from kids, no cops showed up.
Nope.
That's true.
I'm just saying I'm just saying the neighbors around Brand Park could do a little better.
We had
terms
children
of
screaming bloody murder all day, and no one batted an
You
eye.
might want to put together neighborhood protection.
But have you guys
laws or
ever lived
something.
next to like a school or a park?
Yeah.
You learn to
Kids scream bloody murder.
You're right. You're right.
all
It's
the
true.
time.
Yeah,
They're
it's
playing
true.
tag.
You have to tune it out.
Yeah, playing football. Whatever they're doing, they're screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, so
so
you got to tune out the sound of airplanes, the sound of screaming kids.
Yeah. So it
So that's
makes
what the
sense.
realtor said
Yeah.
actually when they moved in. It's
Yeah.
like great school system. You're just gonna have to tune out the sound of the screaming kids right now. You hear that. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's just it's so commonplace in that park.
Yeah, you just accept it.
was.
No. Putting that thing together was easy. It was a breeze.
Yeah.
There were some interesting issues that arose.
It
with
was
the
one of those.
approval process.
Yeah, which we definitely can't get into.
Yeah, no, we definitely cannot talk about that. Sorry, Des.
Yeah,
But-
can't get into that.
But the making of was fun. Putting
Yeah.
together the mutant monster creature was.
How much of that was pre-baked and how much of that was custom?
The creature suit?
Yeah, the creature suit.
So if you've seen the spot, you've got a large creature that it's got this two-headed mesh thingy action going on
And then an arm
with a
head.
third head puppet thing. The puppet was sculpted and created from scratch. The double head thing was created from scratch. And then there were lots of limbs hanging off of it, or just
Oh,
stuff
the
that they
limbs
grab out of
were-
a bucket of limbs. And
How come we don't
fixed it.
Bucket O limbs. is
Bucket
how-
O
what it
limbs,
says
yeah.
on it too.
Real quick, Des, how come we don't have a bucket of limbs?
I thought we were going to end up with all these limbs.
Yeah.
It's like, no, those are mine. They're coming back to me.
That's how we said it too.
But we
I
can
know.
use it. We can still use it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Our gear is like on permanent loan now.
I also
over
have
at
a question too.
Vincent's shop.
Is so you saw in the behind the scenes they had these big syringes, those tubes for
Yeah.
the goop. What were those? Were those pool toys? They
That's what
looked
it
like
looked
pool
like,
toys.
Yeah,
right?
those are full toys.
Yeah.
Really?
There's a lot of cool, like just do it yourself stuff when you look at that stuff.
Yeah.
This is one of the weirdest. I only want to bring because people were talking about too many cooks in the kitchen. I mean, too many cooks in the kitchen is freaking
Too many cooks.
brilliant.
Too many cooks.
Too many cooks. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
What am I? I'm an idiot. Too many cooks in the
I need
kitchen.
to watch that. Everybody's been talking
Have you
about
seen it
that.
yet?
Seen it?
Everybody's been
Oh, it's
bringing up
brilliant.
comparisons all week, and it's like, I haven't seen it.
Well,
I haven't had time.
and not to say that we did first or anything. One, I think they're totally different things also.
Yeah.
But this one of those ideas, like, I forget what we were riffing on originally when it just happened, but I think this has been sitting around for
A while.
almost 2
Long-
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very
It's just,
old idea.
it's just as people talk like, how do you produce that? It's like it's an expensive one.
It's incredibly expensive. You've got
And you don't make
all
money
that
on short
very
films.
specific production design and sets.
Kids are
makeup
expensive,
effects,
makeup
VFX.
effects are
I mean, we
expensive.
could
Child
make it short
actors.
with how much the mutant cost, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But it was worth it because
Yeah.
it looks.
So we've just been
Yeah,
sitting on it
weird.
forever.
Yeah, so real quick, anybody who thinks that we were like, oh, we saw too many cooks and tried to do that, it's like, no, we've had this for a while. Like,
Yeah,
this is
we've
weird.
been wanting to do this. I mean, again,
too many
literally,
cooks
this
of
is
all
great.
the things
I
that
love
did
it.
come up, that never.
I
came
think
up.
I've pitched this idea more than any idea we've ever come up with. One, because it's been sitting around for so long, and it's just like I've loved it so much
Yeah.
that. So yeah, and it's one of those ones that it just came out. Yeah, I mean, you guys just shot the shit out of it. It's awesome, and it was also different because like you had to deal with so many kids. Like we've done kids
Yeah.
befot, but that was like
this
it was an
was
entire
6
crew of
kids,
kids.
5
Like,
A lot of
Kids.
kids.
Yeah.
Those
They
were the
were-
most professional
Oh my God.
actors and actresses I've ever worked with. I'm not kidding, man.
Yeah.
They were fantastic.
They were.
It was a dream working with kids.
Everybody else who has
They
ever worked with
were-
Des, you suck.
The parents,
Um,
the parents, the
kids
kids,
are way more
awesome,
professional than
awesome
you.
parents, awesome kids.
Yeah.
The studio teacher for the kids was a little bit weirded out, I think, by what we were
She didn't
doing.
really
Yeah.
get what we were doing.
Nope.
She's like, this is
But,
weird.
you know,
This is-
Like her job is the most important job in the world. She's educating young minds, trying to make them into human beings, and she brings them to the set. And she's like, "All right, I'm trying to teach you school. I'm trying to teach you. Okay, you gotta go do your job. You gotta do something more important than school. Let's go see what you're doing." there's a monster vomiting on your face, and you're screaming
covered in
and
blood,
crying.
you're screaming.
Well, you have
Eating pizza. What are we doing?
You're watching a woman get impaled by an arm. I mean, she must have been horrified. Like,
She
Yeah.
seemed quite displeased.
yeah,
To say
you can
the
imagine.
least.
Yeah.
To say the least.
I mean, that would be the equivalent of like a dentist, and then midway through like your dentistry, the kid just like, oh, sorry, I gotta go do my
I just gotta
job.
inject
And they
liquid sugar into my
just
cavities.
Just inject liquid sugar and just rub their teeth on concrete. It's like, what the hell? Why am I even doing my job?
Yeah.
These kids are
What's
screwed
even
up.
the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is even the point? A question which will haunt us for the rest of our lives. I think it's time we wrap it up. Thank you, Ashim, very much
Thanks,
for
absolutely.
hanging with
It was
us,
fun.
giving us some tales from the production world. If you haven't seen it yet, every 90s commercial ever, our latest video up on our main channel, directed by Des Dolly, sitting here to my left. Podcast production by Benji Dolly, and recorded, mixed, mastered, engineered by American citizen and voter Alex Reeves of Point of Blue Studios. Hey. Good times, everybody. We got more videos coming. Actually, there's a whole string of videos coming out.
Yep.
So, no, I mean, like,
Matt's
we
like,
have
wait,
stuff that we're doing.
Wait, what? What do we have to do?
We got one video coming out, and then we have some other plans. Well,
Yeah, we
film
got
school
the balls,
finally.
and we got the balls stuff. So,
Yeah,
so
we'll see
we got
when
some
that
videos
happens.
coming. So keep an eye out. Stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for listening, and see you later.
Adios.